Welcome to the HUPERcast podcast with Duane and Cody White. Thank you so much for watching. We've been in this capacity talks. It's going to be awesome. Today we are talking about perspective. It's going to be awesome. Check it out.
Hey guys, welcome to our HUPERcast, episode 3. This is our third one. We're so glad that you joined us. We hope that you will share this.
Yeah.
And if you're listening later, go ahead and share it. Subscribe to it wherever you watch podcasts. If you're watching live midweek, welcome to our former midweek livers on Facebook.
Yeah.
This is our new format for midweek.
Did you know that 90%, I think it's 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3?
I did not know that. So if you don't see us after tonight, you will know we did not survive. Like most podcasts, we would just go into the statistics of all the others, I suspect. Well, if you're just joining us for the first time,
thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you so much. You can go back to the others to catch up, but tonight's hopefully you'll stand alone where you can figure out where we're going. So we are taking, I love acronyms.
Yes.
Anybody that knows me knows I love a good acronym. So we are taking an acronym for capacity because life comes down to capacity. Your capacity, you'll never be greater than your threshold for pain. Ouch. Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah.
Greatness is directly proportionate to your threshold for pain. What your capacity in life, how much can you hold? The moment I say I can't handle something, I'm not talking about vulnerability, I'm not talking about honesty, but the minute I just quit and just say, I can't handle it, what I'm really saying is, God, this is as far as your grace goes for me. So everything we do is by the grace of God, but there are some keys to help us. If we increase our capacity, we can increase our ability to grow, to learn, to lead. So we're really, it's kind of geared toward leadership, but we're all leaders. We're all called to lead something. If nothing else, you ought to be leading yourself. It's called self-discipline. So to have any leadership in life, we really need to learn to lead ourselves, which sometimes for me is the hardest thing to do. So we're going through, we talked about, before we've done CAP. Right. Everywhere I've gone and preached, and taught this, I didn't have time to do the whole acronym. So I would always joke and say, ain't nobody got time for that. And literally, we never had time for it. So I would take capacity. I would boil it down to CAP, C-A-P. But this time we're going through the whole thing. So you're gonna get the whole thing 1 week at a time because we do have time for that now. So we are on episode 3, C-A-P. We're on the P in capacity, which is perspective. Perspective. If you increase your perspective, if you change your perspective, you can change your capacity, and therefore you can change your life. It's been said the difference between leaders and followers is perspective. The difference between good leaders and better leaders is
perspective.
Better perspective, right?
Yeah.
So the difference in a leader and a follower is perspective. The difference in a good leader and a better leader is better perspective. So a lot of times with leadership, we are not necessarily you don't have to be the smartest person in the room or that you're leading. You don't have to be smarter than those that you're leading. You don't have to be more talented than those you are leading. You don't have to have more degrees than those you are leading. Whatever that we tend to think the criteria is, what you need is a perspective that they don't have. One of the things that makes us different than God is God has a perspective that we don't have, right?
Right.
And so what is perspective? One way to think about it is my wife bucket list is to go to Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. Shout out to all
loves it.
The Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade fanatics.
She loves watching it on TV.
Oh yeah. And every year when she watches it on TV, I mean your whole life, she always say, one day we're gonna go there.
Go there one day.
So now it's on her bucket list to take her grandkids.
Yeah.
So grandkids get ready because
now I'm just out now.
Yeah. She doesn't care. Until you have a grandkid, you're out. She might not even invite you. I don't know. No, she would.
No,
she would want you to come. But one of the things when you think about that, I love to watch those people. They wait all day to get as close to the curb as they can.
Yeah.
And then their perspective is, hey, how's the parade going?
I love this thing you do. He's done this so many places. I love it.
You could do it.
I love it. No, you have to do it.
You could probably do it for me.
I just wanted to say, I just love this thing.
So you're sitting there watching, and if you were to call them and say, hey, what do you see? They would say, I see Snoopy.
I knew it was going to be Snoopy first.
It's always Snoopy.
It's always Snoopy first.
Snoopy.
This is such a great picture, though. I'm for real. I love this.
Whatever it is, that marching band from Aaron Snipes High School. Shout out, Aaron.
That's our MD at the bridge.
Braswell High School. He actually sent a group to Macy's, which was very impressive to my wife. She wanted to go be their.
That's how we got the job right away. As soon as Mom heard that, she's like,
he wanted to be their band groupie.
We need this guy.
So we didn't know him then, but anyway.
Yeah, but I see Snoopy. I see the marching band. I see that the famous person that just won. What is it now?
I was
gonna say the Masked Singer or whatever. Like, I don't
America's
even know.
Got Talent.
Yeah, what's like the new one? I don't.
And they're
even
lip
know
syncing.
anymore.
I see them lip syncing.
Yeah, they're like waving or they're singing. They're doing a concert that's super fake, but it looks cool on TV.
But they're gonna tell you what they see based on their limited perspective. If they're far enough in the back, you're going to say, what do you see? They're going to say that person's head in front of me. If they're Danielle's size and somebody else like me is in front of them,
needs a booster.
They're going to see the back of their head. I see a ball. If Danielle's with us, it'll be I see a bald guy's head.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even see a head. I would see like their back or their shoulder blades. I just see a T-shirt.
Yeah. Right,
I see a logo on a T-shirt.
See a large human's T-shirt. So
Danielle would find her way on the float.
Yeah, she would get there. But you see that.
Yeah,
but
whatever's coming in front of you.
I, on the other hand, would probably be on the 60-something floor of a penthouse suite. That would be my preferred viewing.
Okay.
I would be wanting to sit in a presidential suite.
You're up with Ryan Seacrest.
Where you're not bundled.
Ryan Seacrest.
Yes.
At the top.
I want to be up there with him
Yeah.
at the top. And if you ask that person,
Yeah. Ask Ryan.
what do you see? You call them at the same time, they're going to see the end from the beginning. They're going to see the whole thing. Why? Because they're elevated.
Right.
They have a different perspective. So they're not just going to see Snoopy. They're not just going to see that marching band.
Yeah.
They're going to see the whole thing. And as a leader, it's not because the person up high isn't smarter necessarily. They may or may not be. They may or may not have any more. They just see something you don't see. So if I want to grow in my capacity, I got to grow in my perspective.
Yeah.
So for us, we got to start asking, what is heaven's perspective?
Yeah.
Because that's what makes God God is he sees the end from the beginning. The other thing is, though, God, the amazing thing about God is he can see both. He can see the micro and the macro. He can see Snoopy. He can see the fly on Snoopy's nose.
Yeah.
That you can't even see if you're close up, but he can see the elevated end from the beginning. As leaders, we tend to fly at 30,000 feet. We see the end from the beginning. We need to also get the perspective of people that are on the ground. That's a whole nother teaching.
Yeah.
But you need to be asking people, hey, what are you seeing? The janitor needs to tell you what he sees. When the person that opens and closes the building, you need to see what they see. The person who is there 9 to 5, you need to see what they see. The person that is answering the phone, you need to know what they're seeing.
Yeah. And not just what you think they should be seeing.
Right.
Because like you said, Danielle might say, hey, I see the back of somebody's head. And you say, no, you should be seeing Snoopy.
Right.
Snoopy's in front of you. And she's like, okay, I don't care what I should be seeing.
Right.
I see somebody's head. and you're like, okay, how do we fix that?
Yeah, we got to reposition.
We got to
Danielle.
reposition.
We got to get her in a different position. So there's some great nuggets in
really
that
good.
if you take that and unpack it. But the point for what we're saying is perspective, right? I also let's say it this way. I call it knothole theology. If you're watching this, you can do it. It'll be hard if you're listening, unless you really listen carefully. If you take your hand and make a hole, like a knot hole. Everybody do this. Come on, all of you. Let's get the zoom out perspective. I want to make sure everybody's doing this. All right. And close your eye. For me, I'll close my left eye because if I close my right eye, I see nothing. So with your hand, come on, all the way stretched out. No, all the way stretched out as far as you can.
I did it backwards.
Rachel's cheating. She's doing this. Come on, all the way out there. There you go. And pick something across the room and look through that hole. All right. Now slowly zoom that in. All right. Big difference. Yeah. What is the difference? Perspective. So like right now, all I can see is Rachel's nose. Right. I can just see her nose, and she's making a smirky face now because I said that. Now she's smiling. That's all I can see. But as I do this, now I can see her whole face. Now then all of a sudden the microphones come in. Now I see Danielle. Now I see computers. Now I see that board thingy. So all of a sudden I have a broader field of view. You know, when you look through a scope, they call it a field of view. So the more you change that down, it changes your perspective. So a lot of times we're looking like this saying, all I can see is this little thing across the room. And God's saying, do this. Yeah. And let me show you more of what it's a knothole theology. It's learning to see the bigger picture. So again, whether you feel like you lead anything or not, how much of life would change if you let God give you his perspective? Right. See, I see pain. God sees opportunity. I see frustration. God sees grace. I see failure. God sees opportunity and grace. I could go on and on and on. I see my inadequacies. God sees the cross. Yeah. Just pick anything and begin to ask. I see a nation falling apart. God sees a chance for a great awakening. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So what is heaven's perspective? So so many times in life, my attitude would change if my perspective changed. My outlook would change if my perspective changed. And sometimes it's hard to just get a better perspective on my own. I need help. Right. Who's the first person I need to be asking help from? God. Holy Spirit. Yeah. Holy Spirit, what are you, what's your perspective on this? What do you want to say about this? And then the second thing, and we'll go through this quickly maybe to finish up here. You've seen me do this a lot. I think we're going to put it up here on the screen. There's a thing called the Johari window, Johrie. It's been used in business leadership training for years. I think it goes back to maybe the 50s or 60s. And it was two guys, Joe something and Harry something, and they put it together, the Johari window, I think is how they came
Hari.
up. I think that's what it was. Or maybe one of them's last name was Hari. I don't know. Anyway. But they combined it and came up with this Johari window.
Hari sounds so much better than Harry.
Joe Hari, Joe Harry. Anyway, whatever it is, our friend Tony Miller adapted it years ago. He took the idea of it. And I'd seen the Johari window in leadership before, but he changed it. And so then I took it and changed it again. And we kind of I've kind of come up with this version of how our perspective can be.
And then adapted. I took it and changed it.
Did you? Awesome. So we tend to live our life, and it's a window. Yeah. So when it's completed, you'll see 4 panes. Mm-hmm. But the first one, just imagine that you're looking at one window pane in a 4-pane window, right? So we live our life in 4 quadrants or 4 arenas. The first one is the public arena. Mm-hmm. The public arena is what God knows, what you know, and what I know. Everybody can see your public life. They see your public persona. They see the things that you let them see. That's the public arena. The second arena, and there's going to be some red arrows and things come up. We'll come back to that at the very end. Just ignore those. We're just trying not to have 47 slides come up. So just ignore those. The second one is the private arena. The private arena is what God knows, what I know, but I ain't telling you. Right? I'm not going to let you know that. So I keep that private. Then the third arena is called and Joe Hari called it something else, but we're going to call it, as Spirit-filled Christians, we're going to call it the prophetic arena. And that's what God knows, and I don't know, and you don't know. So until God reveals the prophetic arena, it's mystery.
Right.
That's why we need the prophetic. So sometimes Holy Spirit, I don't have a friend that knows this about me. I don't know this about me. But Holy Spirit changes my perspective, right? Now then, well, I'll go ahead and give you the fourth one so you can see the whole window. The fourth one is the fourth arena we live in is what we call blind spots. Blind spots. And
that's crazy. There was just a light that went out, and then it came back on now. But
maybe I'm prophetic.
Maybe you're prophetic. Blind spots. Tell us about them.
Blind spots. We had a blind spot.
the light had a blind spot.
The light had a blind spot. It was trying to give us an object lesson like children's church. But they fixed it. So, blind spots. That's what God knows, and you know, but I don't know. In other words, God, of course, knows it. Other people can see it.
Yeah, it's evident to everyone else.
But I can't see it.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at that whole pane, that window pane, there are two arenas that probably aren't going to hurt you. And that's the public one. They're across from one another. The public arena and the prophetic arena. Unless you just really do something stupid publicly,
right.
Then that's probably not gonna be. It can happen, but
yeah, no, we're with you. We're with you.
Unless it's massive, the prophetic arena is certainly never going to hurt you, right? But it's the private arena and blind spots that become a problem. Now, God is gracious. He doesn't show us all our blind spots at once because we just quit. We just give up. We'd be depressed. But as he does reveal things, we want to let him change our perspective. And a lot of times, let's don't think right now about sin.
Right.
Let's just think about maybe destructive habits or maybe things that are hindering us or slowing us down, things that are keeping us from progressing, right? We need people. So when we're talking about perspective, we need to be honest with God and let him show us some things. But in that private arena, when some things are revealed to me, I may need to talk to somebody else about it. And then in that blind spot arena, when somebody comes to me, I need to say, God, what's your perspective about this? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now you may be saying, what are these red things and red arrows? Well, there's a key in each one of those to dealing with them. So in the public arena, which when I say public, I don't mean like literally on a stage publicly,
right.
but just in general, what people know. So where the prophetic arena, it becomes public through discovery. Right? And you can see that arrow there. Discovery is the key. You get in the presence of God, he discovers you, but that's up to God, right? Whatever he reveals, that's what he chooses to reveal. And we may need people to prophesy into our life or the Holy Spirit just to reveal it to us. In the private arena, we need vulnerability because when God shows me something, if I choose to never tell anyone, then I'm never going to get another perspective, potentially. And while we're still talking about perspective, then the third area, so I need vulnerability. The third one, in blind spots, I need feedback. I need to constantly be saying, what's hindering me? Right. What slows me down? What is a weakness that's hindering my leadership? Because everybody else knows it. The thing is, they may be talking about it, just not to me. So I probably need to give them access so somebody will be willing to do that. So you can take a screenshot of that if you want to, and then real quickly, and then we'll pull it down. Then you can have it to think about that, because those will change your perspective. Now then, one last thing and we'll be done for tonight. And I want you guys to weigh in on this. You've all heard me say this, and I want to see kind of what you have to say about it tonight. When we're talking about perspective, right, as leaders, whether we're talking about leading in our home, leading our kids, leading our families, leading at work, leading, those around us at church, whatever, one question every leader should ask themselves is, if everyone did what I do, what would this situation look like? So if everyone showed up for work at the same time I do, what would that look like? If everyone treated our customers like I do, what would that look like? If everyone gave the effort I give, what would that look like? And so always evaluating, because what is that doing? What does that have to do with perspective? It's helping me see what other people see about me. And leadership is about example. So what example am I giving to people? So y'all have heard me talk about, if everybody posted what I post on social media, what would the world look like? If everybody gave like I give, talk like I talk, do like I do. Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. So it's that am I following Christ thing. Somebody weigh in, talk about that. And they're not questions to condemn, but it just brings perspective.
I think it's an excellent question to ask. Yeah, I think it's an excellent question to ask. It can help you be introspective and help you be honest with yourself, because it's easy to see the blind spots in other people. But I think this is kind of a good gauge to, sometimes blind spots are revealed to you through other people. Sometimes blind spots are revealed to you by Holy Spirit. Yeah, like working through questions that you ask yourself. Why do I do that, Cody? And a lot of times that can stem from this question of, okay, if everybody did what I do, what would the world look like? What would my job? What would my family look like? And then it's like, okay, then why am I doing those things? Okay, I don't want to do that. Why am I doing it? Because I wouldn't want everybody else to be doing it.
Yeah.
So I think it can lead you down a path that is helpful, and really introspective.
There are so many times that question has changed my perspective about my actions, because I thought, wait, I want everybody else to do certain things, but what if everybody really did follow my example?
Right.
I say I want people to follow my example, but then what if they really did?
Yeah.
Ouch. What if everybody acted like I act? Yeah. And these aren't condemning questions. It's not meant to condemn. It's just meant to evaluate. And you bring up another great point, is every leader, we tend to want to, what kind of question we tend to want to ask? We want to ask like what? What are we going to do? Then we want to ask how. How are we going to do it? Then maybe we go a little bit deeper and we say when. When are we going to do it? Then after we've asked all those questions, then we ask why.
Right.
Great leaders have a different perspective, and they ask the why first. Right. They ask the why first. So perspective changes everything. If you want to change your leadership, you want to change your capacity, you want to change your life, change your perspective.
I was just going to add this too, to go along with the P. I think that a lot of times that happens through prayer. My perspective changes so much whenever I pray.
Yes.
I am more likely to be stuck in a poor perspective. Great alliteration. I'm a preacher. Okay. But I'm more likely to be stuck in poor perspective if I have been perplexed by my poor perspective. Whenever I have not been in prayer, whenever if I've been slacking on my prayer game, then my perspective is not most likely gonna change. Because one, if somebody else tells me that I have a poor perspective,
and you haven't been in prayer,
because I haven't been prayed up, I'm gonna be like, well, screw you, right? I don't want to listen to you because I'm.
Let me tell you, everything's wrong with you.
And it's not rules and laws, right? It's like, No. I pray because it helps me get a better perspective, the heavenly perspective that you talked about earlier. But then also, it just helps me with people.
Yeah.
Because like I can say Cody knows. It's what we talked about with Dr. J last week. That CC was making the joke of like, hey, if he doesn't pray, like, and she wouldn't, and he wouldn't care if we share this. But she's like,
because he already did.
Yeah, he shared it. You should, if you haven't checked it out last week, it was so funny. But she said, she's like, if he doesn't spend time, it's evident. Like there is an evident difference, and it's not just true for him; it's true for us. And so, if you want to get a better perspective, or if you want to allow other people to honestly be able to help you with your perspective, I would just throw in, like, stay prayed up, because it will help you either hear from God or be able to hear from other people. I'm more likely to say, you know what, Dad, you're right, I'm wrong, whenever I'm prayed up.
Yeah.
Like whenever I allow Holy Spirit to speak to me, whenever I've been
so good
in tune with the Spirit.
So good. Perspective changes everything. Jeremiah 29:11, everybody's favorite verse. It's so many people, that's their favorite verse. I mean, people even have that tattooed on their body. They love it so much. I always love to say that because Rachel does, and I'm low key.
Every time.
I don't know what I'm low key doing. I'm just saying it. It's not bad. It's just funny. And I always say it. And
It's a great verse.
It is a great verse. Many people don't understand that verse is really all about perspective.
Right.
Because we love to quote Jeremiah 29:11. I know the thoughts I think towards you.
Yeah.
They're thoughts of hope, and to give you a hope and a peace and an expected end. I'm paraphrasing. I'm putting about 5 translations together there, but that's my version of all the ones. And so they love that. Oh, I know the plans or the thoughts that I think God has plans for hope and give me an expected end and the good and God not evil.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. But that's all perspective,
Right.
because that comes on the hill. You got to read the first part. There was a young prophet that didn't have a heavenly perspective, and he said, hey, you're going into captivity, but it's only going to be, I think he said 7 years, or maybe even 2 years. He said it was a short amount. You say short, that's not short. Well, then the old prophet comes along with a better perspective, because he had actually heard from God. He had prayed.
Yeah.
And God said, no, it's not going to be 2 years or 7, whatever. It's going to be 70. And he said, don't listen to the young prophet, because he's giving you an earthly perspective. He's telling you what you want to hear. Stay with me, guys. Watch this. And then he says, but I know the thoughts I think towards you.
Yeah.
I want to wave my hanky and run around the room, because the thoughts there it is. Because even though you're going for 70 years, my perspective, watch this, is that I know the thoughts God thinks towards you. And then he tells them, he goes on, and he says, build houses, plant vineyards, get married, have children, prosper in captivity. And when you come out of here, you'll be better than when you came in.
Yeah. That's good.
Think about the different. If you have a word that it's 2 years, you ain't gonna get married. You ain't gonna have children. Right. You're not gonna plant vineyards. You ain't buying houses, building houses. You ain't doing all this stuff because you think I'm getting out of here. But if you have God's perspective and you know that God says, but I'm going to bless you in it, that's a heavenly perspective that changes everything. So I hope you stay till the end, because this is a prophetic word for somebody. Everybody's trying to get out of pandemic 6 weeks in,
right.
Me included. I would have loved to have prophesied this is over. Matter of fact, I kept watching all the prophets because I thought, I ain't got a word on this. But when they would say it's going to be over, like last May, I just thought, I'm not so sure that's what I'm hearing. Because if you thought it was going to be over last May, it changes the way you plan for the rest of the year and the rest of the moving forward. So we've got to have heaven's perspective. I hope that helps somebody. I really believe that's a word for somebody. body. We always want the prophetic word that makes us feel better in the moment. But God has a better word, even though it may seem like... See, if my perspective is captivity is the end of the world, then 70 years is a bad word.
Right.
But if my perspective is God's going to bless me even in this season of captivity, and he knows the thoughts that he thinks towards me, and he knows that it's good and not evil, and he's going to give me a hope, and he's going to give me expected end, and I am going to come out of here, and I'm going to come out of here better than when I came in, that changes everything. Right? And it changed the way I live. So, perspective. I hope that's helped somebody tonight. Well, we say it every week. We'll say it again. Everybody, ready? We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.